everybody doing? Come on in. Come on in. Hey. Hi, welcome to the live. We're going to get started today. Have a guest, some more family on the live today. So welcome to the live. Community and Connection Chats with D. So welcome. Come on in. I want to do a quick promotion for my Community Connection Chats with D. While everybody's coming in, come on in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Community and Connection Chats with D. Before I start, I haven't gave my intro in a while. I really haven't, but welcome to Community Connection Chats with D, where we create conversation and connect with the community amongst real people. And before I introduce my guests, I want to promote California Design Den. These sheets are amazing. So they're environmentally friendly, okay? Very nice and soft. You guys got to go follow them, California Design Den. So I'll be sitting right here. I already have one set on my bed already. This is another one, but they're nice and soft. This is, they feel like they satin, and I only sleep on satin pillowcases. So summertime, springtime, I really can't do the satin sheets, but these give me that feel all year round. So I have one set on. I haven't tried this color yet, but these feel amazing. So wanted to promote California Design Den. Okay, so y'all gotta try them out. Follow them on Instagram at California Design Den. All right, I wanted to introduce my guest. Come on in. Hello, family. Welcome to my live. Come on in. Wanted to welcome my guest. Her name is Shanita Joy. She's a certified birth and postpartum doula, as well as a childbirth and perinatal educator. Hope I'm pronouncing that right, sister. She's happily married and she has all daughters. So I can't wait to chat with her about that. We just finished celebrating Maternal Health Week last month. I was trying to get her on last month, but she's been booked and busy. So she was delivering babies. So we got her on today. So I'm gonna welcome her in. And for the next few shows, I want you guys to actually start sending me your requests. Like if you want to join a live, if you know somebody that want to join a live, I have some weeks, the end of May and June coming up, and we're getting ready to do a podcast on USL Network. I will be bringing that host in very soon. So if you guys have any ideas or anything like that, shoot me a DM or shoot me an email at TheSingleMomsHustle@gmail.com and let me know what you want to see, or if you know somebody in our community that should be recognized or icon, let me know. All right. Without further ado, I'm bringing into the show Shanita Joy. All right. You available, Shanita? Come on in, sister girl. Hi, sister.
Hello, sis.
How you doing?
Girl, I'm good. I cannot complain. How are you?
I'm fine. Right now, our comments will be scrolling, but when I download our video, we'll see you a little better. All
Okay.
right. But thank you for joining my live. I appreciate you. Many people don't know is I've brought in a lot of people to the show, and a lot of people have been family. This is my god brother's wife. Okay, so she's my sister-in-law. That's
yes,
how we put it.
sir.
Okay, so thanks for coming. I know you're busy right now. I know you
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know you just delivered a baby. How was that experience?
Yeah, so she was my first doula delivery. So just for context, I'm also a registered nurse. I've been so for 13 years. And in one of my stints in the hospital, I worked in labor and delivery. So I have attended several births, both in the operating room, recovery room we had to work, and of course the delivery room. But this was my first doula birth, so it was interesting to be back in the labor and delivery space, because that space was a space that I always thought that I wanted to be in. And when I got there, it wasn't really going the way that I wanted it to go. But when I entered that space as a doula, it just felt very comfortable. It felt very right. It felt like, okay, like, why didn't I know about this before?
This is where you should be.
Yeah, it was a nice space to be in, because one of the things about labor and delivery that was really like just grinding my gears was the fact of having to read the strips, because during the process of labor they monitor the mother's heart rate, and they also monitor the baby's heart rate. I mean, for obvious reasons, just to make sure, you know, everything is going well and there's nothing, the baby is tolerating labor well, mom is tolerating labor well. So that was such a big area of contention for me, and I was like so over it. But to walk in that space, to not have to, number one, be able to interpret it right away, like bam, 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 and then also to not have to be charting on it, I was just like, oh, this is perfect. I'm here for her. I don't have to worry about none of this stuff now. I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you as a nurse, like, of course, when I walked in that room, I'm like, let me check these lines, what's going on, because that's in me. But I wasn't responsible for it, and that felt great.
That felt good, yeah. So you are confident. Well, let's, I sped up a little head and, wanted to know how that first childbirth was, but, tell our people that's viewing, because everybody knows I'm a mom, you're a mom. I have 2 kids. I wish I would have had a doula. I didn't know anything about a doula 20 years ago. Okay, my oldest is 19. I didn't know anything about a doula. I knew what a midwife was. I remember my great grandmother and grandmother telling me about midwives. I also wanted to do the pool thing, and that was only because my godmother had told me about it, and that's how she was going to give birth. But I had so many problems, even though both of my babies were healthy, 2 10-pound babies, but when I had my daughter, they hit me in the membrane, trying to give me an epidural, because her father was saying, oh, don't get an epidural. You can't have an epidural, and telling the nurse she can't have an epidural. And as soon as he left out the room, I said, nurse, we're not married. Give me that epidural, please. Okay. And so she was trying to rush to give me an epidural and hit me in the membrane in the back. So they had to take, they hit that nerve back there, and they had to take the membrane out of my hand. I don't know which hand it was. I can't remember after 20 years, but they took the membrane out of my hand and had to put a nerve in my back so it wouldn't paralyze me. So one of my friends saying hard head, yes. So that was my problem, because I didn't listen to my kid's father, which I thought I didn't have to listen. And I was rushing trying to get an epidural, but I wish that somebody was there with me. Like, my mom was there, but she didn't, she didn't know. She was just like, girl, that baby 10 pounds, you better get an epidural. So, but I wish that someone was there to support me. So can you run through what a doula is?
So a doula is, and it, to me, kind of dates back to that whole midwifery thing. And no, we are not midwives. So our job is not to physically deliver babies. Our job is to focus on moms and families as they're making that transition, whether it's their first baby, second baby, whatever the case may be. We're there, I would say, like as a buffer or a liaison between healthcare and the mom, the dad, whomever is her support person, basically helping them understand what's taking place, choices, and that you have choices, right? Because a lot of people don't even know that they have choices. So we're letting them know that they have choices, they have options. Me personally, as far as my philosophy goes, like, I'm not pro epidural, anti epidural. I don't have a real, like, I wouldn't say I'm only this doula or only that doula. I have clients that are scheduled for C-sections. I have clients that have C-sections on the fly. I have clients that, want to have home births or whatever the case may be. I have not done a home birth yet, but I don't have a problem working in any of those capacities, because to me, the most important thing is that the mother leaves the experience being comfortable with the choices that she made. Like, so many of us look back on our birth stories and they're horror stories, like absolutely horrible. And you don't feel empowered and you don't feel good when you leave that space. You just kind of feel like, what just happened? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for me, and especially in that last birth, it was nice to be able to be there and to kind of like walk through what was going on with her and explain things to her and just be able to reassure her in certain areas. And of course, we're there for emotional support, we're there for physical support. So we actually will help you get into positions that ease pain. I don't understand why you go into a hospital to deliver a baby and they want to throw you on your back. Like, what is that? You should be in a more upright position just because of gravity. So we help clients get into those positions. And fun fact, you can get into positions even if you have the epidural. If you're mobile, if you have a level of mobility, you can be flipped up, smacked up, flipped, and rubbed down. Okay, because they try to make you think otherwise, but no, you can be. So just giving people options, giving people information, being there as a support, because it's great to have a partner. We also support partners. It's great to have a partner, but for me, I'm a woman's woman, so I want a woman next to me. I want somebody that understands what I'm going through. I want somebody that understands where I'm going to end up, so it's just nice in that regard. And that's why it kind of reminds me of like dating back to, days when women would have labor at home and all the women in the neighborhood, whatever, come through and like just help this woman on this journey because they've been there before or whatever the case may be. And so I guess that would make her my great great grandmother, I believe. Yeah, I think that's my great great grandmother. She was a midwife. She delivered my mom. So it's like, it's nice. It feels like, I don't know, it kind of feels like it's special. It feels like home to kind of have that connection to it. But for me, it's so important to be able to give out education and just to be able to I feel like a lot of moms go through this whole, what we call the Black maternal health crisis and all this mess, which that's a taboo term. And it's really not accurate. We are succumbing to a system that's not designed to support us. So that's really what it's all boiling down to. But I feel like a lot of times these maternal demises and fetal demises happen because there's a lack of education. People are not being educated about what can go wrong and what needs to happen. In the event of these symptoms, you need to know to report this, or you need to know to report that. I feel like it's just a lack.
And that's where, I wanted to go into after we were talking about the introduction and everything. But as far as, do you believe there is racism and privilege in the labor and delivery rooms or in birth work?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because there's racism in the world, right? So until that bigger structure is dismantled, it's everywhere. And the bias is everywhere. I've read nursing books that have literally, I have I call her my sister as well. And she is a doctor. She has a doctorate, but she's also a nurse. And she put a picture up of this book that was basically saying that Black women are often single mothers, and it's hard to break information to us. Sometimes you have to choose your words carefully and things like that. Like, I'm just reading this book like, who wrote this? Like, what is this? I would hope you walk into a room delivering sensitive information related to somebody's healthcare and choose your words carefully anyway. You know what I mean?
A lot of them,
so interesting.
A lot of them don't. And I can say, when I, without saying the hospital, treatment otherwise was good. But like when my kid's father came to, was able to finally get there, he was there with my daughter, but he was away with my son because he came a little early. So when he rushed to the hospital, my son was there. I waste no time when I had my kids. It was time for them to come out. And soon as he got there, they had slipped my son into neonatal because he had breathing issues that they claimed. He had breathing issues and stuff. And when my kid's father came in, they were just like, "Oh, we wasn't expecting you." Like,
Yep.
what? He wasn't expecting them. They was just like, because I was able at that time. They was like, Mom, why did you get up? So the black nurse, she told me, she was like, Mom, you're fine. Even though you had that 10-pound baby, you could get up and walk. You could go with him to the neonatal to show him his son. So I
Yeah.
went, and the one lady was like, what are you? First of all, she was like, why are you up? You just gave birth. And then she said, who is this? And he had the bracelet on, and she was like, well, we wasn't expecting you. And I was like, what do you mean you wasn't expecting? You weren't expecting for his father to come see
Yes.
because he wasn't in the room at the time? Like,
That's
lady,
how they are.
yeah. It was bad. My mom had to leave because I gave birth at 1 a.m, so she left to go get dressed, and the change.
Okay.
She knew he was on the way. Her and her, my aunt, because my aunt was there. They left to go get changed and everything because they were there so long with me. And
Yeah.
when he finally came, they were just like, we weren't expecting you. And that just like, I was so pissed about that. So it was just like to have that support there. That's amazing how they have there's doulas available now for that support.
Yeah, definitely. And just to speak to what you're saying, me and a couple of my other girlfriends, we were all just sitting around talking, and the two of them, they're also young moms. I was a teen mom, so my had my oldest when I was 18. I got pregnant with her when I was 17, and I delivered her when I was 18. So they're also they also had their children young, and we're just sitting there talking about just the little microaggressions that are thrown at you, when you are young, and they also have four children as well. And just like the comments, like, oh, will the dad be coming? Or, oh, you know who the father is? They all have the same father, like just crazy stuff like that. And we're just the three of us sitting here just sharing these like our experiences, and I'm like, it's nuts, like the stuff that they say that people feel comfortable saying to you, but it's us at the end of the day, and I've heard so many horror stories, just with handling, like one of my in one of my consultations, the client was basically saying, like, the doctors were very rough with me. They were asking me if I was going to have an abortion, even though they saw that I had, follow-up appointments scheduled and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just sitting there, she's a young girl, and I'm just sitting there like this is not, this cannot be the way that like women's health continues. It's not,
No,
it's not good.
it's not appropriate at all. So I know you expressed how you have an ancestor who was a midwife, but you're also a RN. You're
Yes, ma'am.
you're a wife, and you're a mommy of all girls.
Yes.
How do you juggle this and be able to support and be there for others in their time of need?
Oh, wow. So because it is new and the business is new, my kids and my husband, well, I'll say my oldest and my husband are used to me keeping crazy hours. I've worked all shifts in a hospital. So it was a time when I was doing first, second, and third. I've done like each of those shifts. And then I switched over to nights, which was 12-hour shifts. So they're used to like me being gone. This particular birth that I had, the last birth, I had to leave the house like 3 o'clock in the morning, which was fine. I'm like kind of a night owl. So I
Mm-hmm.
knew it was heading in that direction. And things just worked out as far as I was actually, let me back up. I was actually like, how they say when women get pregnant, like towards the end of the pregnancy, they start to clean and cook and do all these things like to prepare their home. So I actually was doing that like the week before she was due because she was past due. So it was so weird. I was just like, let me just tidy up. Let me do my laundry. Let me fold. I made a nice big pot of lentil soup.
With her, that connection you had with her.
Yeah, it was funny. So I'm like, is this a thing? So I checked in on here and I asked that question. They're like, yeah, it is. I was like, well, if it's not a thing, it is now, because that's what I was doing. And so I was just kind of like preparing, like having food that they could have ready quickly. I mean, of course, having my oldest daughter, like she's a big help with her being 18. And then I have a 9-year-old. She can pretty much prep her own food and all that good stuff. Then my 5-year-old Phoenix, she'll be 6 soon. So I mean, she
So it's my
Olivia.
brother that needs all the attention.
Girl,
I
he
know.
gets it.
I know he on
He
here,
gets
so he hear me.
it. like, honestly, who am I? They love him. That's their freaking savior. But I just tried to like put things in order to have everything kind of like smooth. And then fortunately that day he drives trucks, so that's another wild card into the mix. But that particular day it was light at the job. And so my daughter, I think that was a Monday, she stayed home with the kids, and then she didn't go to work that day, but he ended up getting out early. And so it was like, okay, so he came home to be with the girls because I was there. I didn't get home until probably like 4 o'clock or so the next day because my client ended up having a C-section um
Was she,
after trying for a very long time.
were you guys all prepared for that, for her to have a C-section?
We were not. We were not at all. We were hoping for a vaginal birth. And so basically, like, I help my clients create their birth wishes. I don't like to say birth plan because the word plan is a joke. It's going to be what it's going to be. But I do think it's good to have, to have things in mind that speak up about what you're not comfortable with and say what you would prefer and that kind of stuff. Like, I think that's a good thing to do. And say what you want to happen with your newborn after your newborn is born, and do you want to hold them right away, so on and so forth. So all those things I think are really great to have ideas as to what you want done.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, I feel as though the team was very accommodating in trying to allow her to have a vaginal birth for as long as they could. She pushed for a total of about 6 hours with breaks in between. Of course, it wasn't continuous, but they continued to let her try, And the baby was in what is called a malpresentation. She just was not engaging properly with the pelvis and wasn't able to come out. Not that she could not have birthed this baby if she wasn't in a different position,
Mm-hmm.
but given the amount of time that she was at it, and then sort of down the line as towards the end of the decision making process, when her OB came in, because she was in a group that had an OB and a midwife, so the midwife was doing a lot of the pushing. But when the OB came in, there was a complication called meconium, which is when the baby takes their first bowel movement inside the womb. So at that point, that's a change. So now we're seeing that, and we're also seeing basically the baby showing signs on the strip of their heart rate that they're not tolerating the labor well anymore. So rather than, wait any further, because like I said, it was 6 hours in, I really feel like they did their due diligence in allowing her, or attempting to allow her, to have a vaginal birth. And sometimes things don't go according to plan, So at that point, she was so exhausted, like she was over it. She was so exhausted, and it was like, you know what? Okay, this is the best decision. At the point that we're at now, this is the best decision. And her doctor explained to her that she would be able to have a VBAC. So, all hope is not lost. She doesn't have to keep having C-sections. The surgery was performed in a way that she can have a VBAC. And I'm hoping that if she decides to, she can.
A little, well, a lot of women fear that, after they have one, they think they're gonna have to have other C-sections after that.
Right.
Yeah. So what other services do you offer?
So basically, I have a nice little menu. I provide my childbirth services, which is, it includes 2 prenatal visits. It includes prenatal education. So during those visits, that's where we are talking about all these things that I was basically saying before. Um, just educating upon, me getting to know you, me finding out what are your preferences, me finding out how can I best assist you, how can I best align with what you want, and being able to educate you as far as the stages of labor, onset of labor, the process of labor. It's kind of like almost like having a little bit of a game plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also modeling. So now I like for the partner to be there during the second prenatal, because I like to be able to actually model positions and see what it is that you feel like can help you, the most, or whatever the case may be. So that when you're in that space where like you're in pain, I'm not trying to teach you something for the first time. And it's just like, what is this woman doing? So we review what's going on as far as like what's happening at the doctor's appointments, because I don't physically go to the doctor's appointments, you know, but we review what's going on at the doctor's appointments. And over the course of time, like, my clients can contact me at any time. So I am kept abreast of the changes and the things that are going on with them. And we just touch bases as far as like, where are we at now? And, you know, what do we need to adjust, or what do we need to work on to get you towards your goal? Aside from that, I do one-on-one continuous with the client from the active stage of labor up through an hour after the delivery. I stay there. So if your labor takes from, you know, active to delivery 15 hours, then I'm there for 15 hours. But of course, research is showing that with a doula present, labor is shortened. And with a doula present, there's less interventions, and less interventions for a mom equals less complications for the baby. So there's less admission to the NICU. There's a greater initiation with breastfeeding. So studies are showing that we are making a difference at the bedside. Aside from that, I also do 2 postpartum visits. So after that, you know, we need to talk about, how did you feel about your birth? You know, we need to process it. And I like to process and find out, how did you feel about me in your space, and what could I have done differently? Because that's very important for me, to be able to grow. So moving on, I have postpartum care, which is basically where I come help the mom out after she delivers the baby. So if you need help with light meal prep, laundry, folding clothes, your baby needs to be soothed, you're trying to figure out how to breastfeed, just any of those things in the 4th trimester that you might need help trying to figure out, then I assist with those things.
You go into
and
the
then
home as well. You can go into the home as well after the baby come home and the mom come home.
Yes. So
Okay.
that's the postpartum part of it. So the 2 postpartum visits, I can do those things as well, but it's not long term. Whereas if I'm contracted for a postpartum doula job, then I'm there for whatever the amount of weeks that they would like me there for, to help them out, just help them transition. Because a lot of times, I think people don't realize how much the 4th trimester is like. Like for me and my pregnancies, that was the worst part. I could be pregnant 52 times, but when it's time to do that postpartum, count me out. It's just, you know, it's just the exhaustion. And I was a breastfeeding mom, so I'm exhausted. I have to feed this baby every 2 hours, and it was just a lot. So I definitely think that's something that you're going to see like a lot more of people being interested in, because you could use that help. And sometimes family doesn't know exactly how to help you in a way that is going to really make the difference for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
They'll come and they'll visit, but it's not necessarily what you need. So sometimes I think it's important to just have that outside person come in.
Do you
And
meet,
then
do you, you know, with the consultations at the beginning, would you meet with the dad and talk to him? Maybe it's some things that he want cleared or have questions.
I like to meet with both of them. I really like to be able to sit in a consultation with both the mother and the father, because the mother knows why she wants me. I now need to explain to this man why he's about to drop this amount of money for my services. Men, as my mentor said, and she's very smart, men deal in numbers, honey. You got to talk to them in numbers and statistics. So this is where I'm going to lay on you everything that I was just telling you. Your labor can be decreased by 45 minutes. Your child is going to have a greater chance of initiating breastfeeding. Your child is going to have, less interventions equals less NICU stays. That means your baby comes home sooner. So all of these things, I need to be able to lay that on the line for you. And I often, because, my husband is a basketball, football, sports fanatic. I'm like, look, you want to understand what my role is? I'm the point guard. I'm the QB. That's what I am on this team. I'm running the show in terms of facilitating and coordinating. You show up, I can tell you exactly what to do, how to support your partner. All she needs to worry about is getting the baby out. The doctor's going to worry about what the doctor needs to worry about. The nurse is going to worry about what she needs to worry about. You understand what I'm saying? So they need to know, like, what's your role? What are
Yeah.
you doing? And
Yeah.
so, like, yeah, I love to be able to talk to dads. And because, my husband was a huge part, is a huge part, will forever be a huge part in, our girls' lives and their births and all that stuff. So I love to be able to get dads involved, or whomever, the support person is going to be, get them involved so that they know, like, birth is not a spectator sport.
Right.
Everybody's going to have a job. If you're in the room, I'm giving you a job.
Mm-hmm.
You need a job.
Yep. Absolutely. And that'll
Yeah,
be, I think that's a good service for, men to be involved in, especially when you have someone as close as you would be to the family and to the expectant mom. I think that's something that, I think God would pretty much sit in and, take heed to any of the services that you can provide for mom. He can,
definitely.
yep. Well, that's cool. So, you know, with that being said, there were so many, like I grew up with a lot of friends who didn't have a mom because their mom died during childbirth. So I do
Yeah,
experience that. I do have male friends who raise and are raising their child on their own because the mom passed away during childbirth.
yeah.
That's scary, that's just just throughout the years of seeing things in the news. What is your outlook on that? How do you feel about these situations happening in childbirth, child death, doing the mom's death during childbirth?
I feel like there is a breakdown. Like there's a breakdown in the system, and it impacts ultimately on the mom. I feel like sometimes it's because the clients are not aware, and that's why I keep saying education. They're not aware of certain signs and symptoms. How many times as a mom have you had a headache and just been like, oh, it's just a little headache, I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing. I can recall several times pregnant, literally having a headache, or having a little swelling in my feet, but I still have things to do. So I just kind of brush it off. There would be times that I would have to actually get busy and then be like, okay, I need to sit down. And then I would go take my blood pressure. And this is me as a registered nurse. You know what I mean? So now I know, okay, let me go check my blood pressure and see what's going on. And sure enough, my blood pressure is up or whatever the case may be. And I just think a lot of times as women, it's just this whole superhero thing, especially Black women. There's this whole like, okay, let me just power through it. And we need to know enough to extend ourselves grace, that no, you don't need to power through it. Like, mention this to your doctor. So I definitely think there's that issue of just like, the superwoman, all encompassing woman mindset. I know for a fact it's because a lot of times you go into the doctor's offices and they don't have time. They're not taking the time to explain things. They're not taking the time to educate you. They're not taking the time to like really pour into you and let you know what you need to know. And because there's so much that you need to know, so
Listen
you
to,
can't even,
we should definitely listen to
there's a lot.
our body and know when something does not feel right, because
Absolutely.
I went to the I went to the hospital for everything. I had a pain in my side, I pain in my back, I
Yeah.
saw a little fluid. I'm running and I'm at the hospital. And they like, you okay, Miss Pickett? We checked the heart. You're fine.
Yeah.
I was scared
And then I think it's,
all the time.
yeah. And I mean, it's, to me, it's just better safe than sorry. But I also feel like that there is like just a lack of continuity of care sometimes also. Just seeing the same provider and trying to have somebody that's seeing you all the way through. Like as a nurse, right? I'm speaking as the RN right now. One of my biggest pet peeves is people who go to the ER as their provider. You need a primary care physician. You need somebody that knows you, that understands what's going on with you. Continuity of care is so important in healthcare. You want somebody that sees you from the beginning to the end. Now I understand you have to switch providers sometimes, insurances, so on and so forth. I get it. So, you do your best, but I think that's something that's very important,
And
because if you know me, you know what could potentially be coming down the road.
there we go. Yep. And
Yeah.
my son had and I don't we never had this conversation before, Shanice, but my son had the fluid on the head, the my God, what do you call it?
Encephalopathy,
Edema.
edema. He has cerebral edema.
He had that on his head from them pulling him out.
Oh, they use a vacuum.
Yes, they used a vacuum on him
Okay.
and pulled him out. And my my GYN was not there. She couldn't be there. She called me though. She called when I went in labor and got there, and she was like, Dietra, I can't be there. I'm sorry, but I have one of my, top professionals coming in to assist you. So I had someone else deliver, and I was so nervous because I'm like, Dr. Lowe, like, I needed you here.
Yeah.
I almost cried on the phone when she couldn't tell me when she told me she couldn't be there.
Right.
What you're saying is true. Like it would be nice for somebody to be there from beginning to end, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was there support. Like even, after I had him, she called. She told me if I needed to stay because he was a neonatal. She said, "You gonna stay there too until you go home when your baby go
That
home."
was good.
Yeah, so I mean, she was there to support, but it was just like my nerves are all over the place. 'Cause there's another doctor here.
It's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same. And so what you'll see now with a lot of practices, because that was the case with my oldest when I had Synovia, there were 3 doctors in the group and they were bringing another doctor in. So I ended up rotating through the group. The goal is that you have the patient see all of the providers to make sure that, I mean, obviously you can't necessarily establish a rapport with everyone, but to try to be able to just have them see all of the providers so that, you know what, it's not this strange face showing up during my labor. Good thing, because when I was in the hospital with Synovia, I saw all 4 of those doctors
Mhm.
during the course between, starting, because I was induced with all 4 of my daughters. So between starting the induction to postpartum, I saw all 4 of those doctors. And I actually ended up having the privilege of working with 2 of them on labor and delivery. So that was really dope to
No.
be able to work with the doctors that assisted. And they were a great group. They were a really, really great group. Yes, I see my Lon's mommy saying
Oh,
pediatricians too. Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
That's very important to have a pediatrician. My thing has always been like, I would like for you to see my baby from the time that they come out until the time. Look, I went to me and my 18-year me and the baby that I have now that's 18, my big baby. We
Hmm.
were 8. I was 18 going to the pediatrician with her.
Yeah.
So look, I was still there. I was still like, look, this is my pediatrician. I'm going to him too. He kept me till I was 21, and it was hilarious. But
Yeah. Yeah. See,
but
that's
I mean, it was
he
just
know.
that comfortability.
Hmm. Yeah,
It
and
was being comfortable.
when I prepped for all of that, like when I had my
Yeah.
kids, it was like they were in pediatrician was in the folder. Call him as soon as the
Yes.
everything. He came right to but with both of my children came right to the hospital when my baby
Yes. And
right.
that's so important. Like that's my thing. It's so important. Now with my last daughter, I switched pediatricians because my pediatrician at that time was like getting ready to retire. Um, so I switched pediatricians, and she did not go to that particular hospital. But she was like, if there's anything abnormal, she was like, as long as the baby is healthy and everything is fine and they're admitted to regular nursery, all that good stuff, I won't come. The house doctors will take care of the baby. And I said, that's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
Hmm.
Because I was familiar with the hospital, and that was the hospital that I had also worked in. So I was fine with that. But she said, if there's any problem, call me. And it went straight to her. You could talk to her straight to her phone to this day. The practice is open 7 days a week. I can call her on a Sunday and be like, hey, Zena is coughing a whole lot, and we just saw you last weekend. I need to come in. So you see what I'm saying? That's just the difference between a provider that knows you. And she's like this for everyone. So it's not just that. But having somebody that knows you, like, makes all the difference, in care. And so, like, when you ask that question as to, like, things that I feel like factor in to, moms not coming home with their babies, it's so much. But my biggest concern is just the idea of we're not listening to Black moms. We
Yeah.
still think that, Black moms are so strong and, oh, we handle pain better and this, that, and the third, and just all these ideas that are not correct. And I think that, just with the situation with Serena Williams, they didn't listen to her. She was having shortness of breath. Now she has a history of blood clots. She was having shortness of breath. I walk into work and I see on the chart that somebody has a history, and it's the nurse in me again, but somebody has a history of shortness of breath. and they tell me, blood clots, and they tell me they're having shortness of breath, like that is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We need to go see what's going on. We need to see what's going on with you. So that was so confusing to me that even her, and I mean, it was publicized that she had this history, so why would it not be in her chart?
Yeah.
And she had to keep advocating.
Right.
We knew. So, like, why don't y'all know? You know what I'm saying? It was so crazy. And it was just like, okay, like, why did it take that much? And if she wasn't who she was, would she have even gotten to go have a test? It's a simple test. You just run a little ultrasound up and down the leg. You're looking for DVTs. It's a simple test.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's not rocket science. So it was just kind of like, okay. But I don't know. That, to me, it's just cultural competency. You need to be culturally competent for the people that you're dealing with. And you need to understand that, like when we say Black people or whatever the case may be, like one person is not the face of the Black race. You need to understand that there's like, we are stratified. We're different people, just like any other race. We're stratified.
Exactly.
So you have to understand, understand us from all socioeconomic levels. You have to understand us from, all complexions, everything. Like, you need to really understand us. You need to understand that if you have me on the table, a darker skinned woman, and you're giving me a C-section, I have a greater chance to keloid than a lighter skinned woman. So what are you going to do differently to tailor the care so that my skin looks seamless like that person's skin, the lighter skinned woman's skin might look? Like, all of these things factor in. And so that's why I feel like when you have a Black provider, that's so important, because a Black provider is in the back of their mind. Like, they're looking at this stuff. The doctor that I was attending the birth with the last time, that woman put that lady back together so seamlessly. I was like, you sure you don't moonlight as a plastic surgeon? Because, girl, like, she's like, I'm going to make sure that you don't keloid or whatever. Like, that's what we need. We need people that are going to be proactive about our healthcare.
And they understand us. They just not putting us back together like they would do everyone else. Because
absolutely,
it's a difference. It's a difference to work with someone who's experienced with our own culture, and I don't care. They could be white, they could be Asian, because my doctor is Asian, but
mine too.
She knew about us,
Yeah.
She's no joke. And my family, because I moved, I don't go to her anymore, but if I had the opportunity, I will be right back there. My family still goes to her. So it's like she knows about our body. She knows what we need. And that's what matters, because, and going back, I remember at one point, I didn't know, that it was okay for certain things to happen during childbirth. So when it was so alarming, and for them to alert me to say, oh, Miss Pickett, we have to do this, like my placenta was rising, and it was rising after I pushed my baby out, after I pushed my daughter out. And that could have hurt me. That probably could have killed me, because it was just, and they were just like, I had a whole team come in, and it was scary because I didn't know what. I was starting to feel lightheaded, and my body was going through things, and they could see like my pressure was going up. It was a lot of stuff going on at the time. And then it was just like, I'm looking at my mom, my kid's father, he done fainted because he see that I'm going through something. And like, I didn't understand what was going on, so at that moment, all the women who passed away during, going through something like that, or having, these severe blood clots, or, hemorrhaging and things like that, it's sad.
Right.
So,
and I feel like honestly, it's so unacceptable in what is supposed to be the most powerful country for women to be dying at the rate, Black women to be dying at the rate that we're dying, 3 to 5 times more likely than our white and other counterparts. That is insane. That's insane. Like, that makes no sense whatsoever. It's birth. And it's something that is normal and natural, and women have been doing for years. Slaves were literally having their babies and back out in the field. Like, that's nuts.
Right. My great grandmother.
That is nuts.
They wrote down my birth and where it was at in a Bible.
Right? Like, that's nuts. So when you think about all of that kind of stuff, why is it something to where it's being managed like it's a sickness or an illness? Or even think about just society, right? Outside of just talking about Black women or whatever the case may be. Like, think about society. If you see a pregnant woman in a gym and she's lifting heavy, oh my God, everybody's up in arms. Everybody's like, what is going on? You should not be doing it. It's like, relatively speaking, if you have a low risk pregnancy, you can continue doing everything that you were doing before, as long as there's no complications. If your body is used to lifting 225 pounds, to bench pressing, whatever it is that you do, your body's used to that. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So we have to, in general, as a society, we have to stop looking at pregnant women as like little dainty, like little rag dolls. That's just gonna
Always clumsy. And when I got pregnant, I was still falling. So I would
You were not falling on them babies.
I would have to go to the emergency room all the time. I'll never forget the last time I fell in my grandmother's house, because she used to have those plastic runners on the floor. And
Oh Lord.
I fell, and I was literally, that's what sent me to the hospital, because I slipped and fell again. And I went into labor. But nobody believed me. I was telling them, I go to the hospital now. I need to go to the hospital. I think I got hurt that time. And nobody believed. They was like, you always falling. I always fell.
Not that time.
Yeah, that time it was time to go. And little Tommy's is here.
And sometimes people don't trust their intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you just felt like that was something you needed to do, right? So I think that's another big part about being a doula. Like, trust your intuition. If you feel like something is off, you feel like something is not right, like encouraging women in that regard. That's very important. And I just think that kind of spans into motherhood as well. Like, how many times have you saved your child from some nonsense just by you like,
Yeah.
that friend, not that friend, like you can see certain things that they can't see. And so just being able, like, we have that gift as women to kind of just be able to like feel something and be like, that's not it.
Exactly. Well, what advice would you have to expecting moms that are wondering if they should get a doula?
Yes. And I'm not saying that because I am one. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I mean, obviously I'm biased a bit, but
That's all right.
yes.
Supposed to be.
Yes, because I can say as a registered nurse, I didn't know certain things. Mind you, I've been watching all the Bringing Home Baby. I've been watching all the triplet shows and all this stuff. I have been submersed in birth culture for years. Like, when I was having my daughter, I was pregnant at 17. Like, I was sitting there like, why haven't they induced me? This is happening, that's happening, and I'm going to end up having meconium, and da-da-da. And I did end up having meconium. I had my daughter at 42 weeks and 1 day. So yeah, but there were so many questions that I had, and I just wanted to know and wanted to learn and things of that nature. And so I feel like it's just, and I keep harping on this and going back to this, it's just very, very important to know your options. And one thing that I think is really great is that I have, so we learned about this thing called the brain method in doula classes or whatever, and it helps you break down decision making with your clients, right? So you are helping them through having them analyze the benefits of whatever it is, the risks of whatever it is, what does their intuition say, because that's very important, like I was just saying, and what happens if I do nothing, what are the alternatives, so all these things are very important to look at, because sometimes we're faced with decisions. And honestly, I'm also a member of evidence-based birth, and they are a great resource for professionals and parents or whatever the case may be. And just evidence-based practice, right? You hear that a lot in the nursing world or whatever, because now we want to see statistics and data that's correlating with these things that we're saying is best practices, right? So evidence-based birth is a very big thing right now. But one thing that was impressed upon me in those emails that she was sending, the woman that founded it was basically saying that she made it because she was somebody that was pregnant and searching for all these answers, and she wanted to make a database to collect and hold all these answers. And I thought that was great that she did that. But also, when we're looking at evidence, we need to look at evidence. We need to look at the fact that just because it's evidence-based doesn't mean that it's going to be the same for your experience and mine. You know what I'm saying? And it needs to be in practice. Like, does this care provider know what they're doing in practice with this evidence, and how is that going to affect what's going on with you? Okay. It's a trifecta. It's not just, okay, because the research shows that this is great, you should do that. No, that's not always the case. Medicine is not a cookie cutter situation. It's not. You know, you need to be able to assess and look at each individual and be able to meet them where they're at. So I think that it's really important for moms to have doulas, because you got to take autonomy over your own birth and over your own life as a mom. You understand what I'm saying? Like this, I feel like it's the initiation of starting to get used to making decisions and starting to get used to just being comfortable with saying, okay, this is what's best for my child. I've done my research. I have talked to my provider. My provider, you know, is comfortable with these methods and they know how this works or whatever the case may be. And now this is the decision that I made that's best for my family. Right. I think that that's one of the biggest things that we do as doulas. And of course, just comfort, support, having somebody that you can reach out to. And let's just keep in mind also, there's a lot of dads that are doulas. They're calling them doulos. One of my cousins is, so shout out to him. I believe he's on this now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, I need to get him on the show. Oh my gosh. I would love to hear from a male perspective. I didn't know. This is the first.
Yeah. He's a part of a organization called Daddy University, and I believe he just does postpartum. But yeah, I mean, it's support for dads. It's just one of those things to where, like, it takes a village. Like, it really takes a village. And that's really from conception all the way through. I feel like when you get a doula, you're kind of starting to cultivate that village. You know, you're starting to cultivate that mindset of, okay, you know, I want to do what's best for my family, and I want to be able to make the right decisions, and I need a little direction because I'm not well versed necessarily in this area. You know, so it's just like anything else. You go and seek the counsel of somebody for whatever the case may be. If you're not well versed, you know, you go to somebody that can help you get the information and help you implement it in real time.
Now, are insurance picking up on this, that it's a necessity? Or can someone go get a doula, come to you for services, and insurance pay for it, or they paying out of pocket?
So for me, I accept out of pocket. I don't have an MPI, which is basically something that you have to do to get a provider identity or whatever. Basically, like, so when you go to the doctor, they have that MPI number. So I don't have that as of right now. And I don't know if I will ever, just because right now it's me well, let me say for right now, it's me in the business. Look, I'm still trying to figure out how to automate all my stuff and get all my stuff together, all my ducks in a row and quacking. Because I'm very type A, so I got to have my stuff in line. So if I'm going to take on something like that, I got to know how it's
and we done talked plenty of times about that, you know.
Girl.
It's, you know, not as easy, but, you know, I just wasn't sure if doula services were a service that insurance, you know, take in and provides.
Some are. So I was getting ready to say some are. So I do have community doulas. There's a lot of initiatives around being able to make doulas available via Medicaid. I actually am a virtual doula on, it is pacify.com, pacifyhealth.com. And so I'm a virtual doula on that network. And basically what they do is they partner with Medicare, they partner with WIC, and it's bringing lactation consultants and doulas in real time to people that need them. So this service is provided via Medicaid. It's provided via, you can actually have a membership, like by going to the website and signing up, and you can pay for it out of pocket, or some companies are providing it to their workers, and they're being able to like just sign up and have it that way. So if you have a question in the middle of the night about something, pick up the phone, and it's just like a FaceTime call. I actually just did my my test call yesterday with them. So they just like a FaceTime call.
For low income families too, they provide.
And they work from low income all the way on up. So it was very important to me to make sure that I was putting myself in positions where I could serve people that are underserved, where I could work with teen moms, where I could work with, motherless moms. Like, there's just certain groups of women that I'm a woman's woman, but there are certain groups of women that really resonate with me, and those three are really big. So yes, you can find insurances that will cover it. You can also submit your claims, because most people that are running a business that's, that are doulas, they will have their invoices or whatever. Submit your claims to your insurance, and sometimes the insurance will reimburse you. It really just depends on how, I guess you can say, good the insurance, is, or whatever the case may be. Well, and a lot of times, that depends on company and all other kinds of things, but
that's
definitely options.
I connected with that. That's good, but we want to get you some coins. So tell us how, people could get in contact with you.
People can get in contact with me via, I'm going to direct you guys to the website, which is www.iamchoosingjoy.net. All my info is on there. I am, as you can see on here, at _ I am choosing joy _ I'm on Facebook as Choosing Joy. I am on LinkedIn. I'm on National Black Doulas Directory. I'm in Black Birth Workers it's Black Birth Workers Rock Directory. Okay. I'm also, this was announced today. I knew about this for a while, but my mentor announced this today. So she and I have partnered, and she has hired Choosing Joy as an independent contractor for her birth agency. So she is Baby Please Birth Services Agency, LLC. Hey, Novi, my little baby checked in.
Hi, Niecy Pooh. She's on the line.
Thank you.
That's all good news there. You just got that news today, huh?
So it was official today. We had talked about it and had our conversations. I had to do all the paperwork and all that good stuff. So she popped in earlier to the live. But yeah, she has been a very, very big, very, very big just support, and just a really good source of information, resources, just all these kinds of things.
We can't do it by ourselves all the time, everybody.
Definitely.
Definitely. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You've been so busy that we don't get to talk as much anymore like we used to.
Yes.
We get on each other nerve, but it's like, no, you ain't get on my nerve. But I know you're busy, and I've been busy lately too.
I'm about to say, girl, look, you a serial entrepreneur, so you be busy.
I'm all over the place trying to be a serial entrepreneur, somebody's wife. I'm trying to work on it.
Not somebody's wife. I'm not messing with you.
Trying to learn how to cook so I can keep this nose kid. Well, I want everybody to hit up my sister. I'm gonna make sure I'm not looking forward, just like my girlfriend, Milan _ mommy said, no time soon. We both have daughters. We all have daughters, and no time soon. But if I become a grandma,
yes, ma'am,
I'll make sure that she has a doula, and you're right in the family, so you're not far. So
absolutely.
But no ideas. I seen Tommy's get up here, so don't make me no grandma.
What?
We're gonna try to get Auntie Shanita work from somebody else.
Okay? Look, my daughters are already like, Mom, you gonna be my doula? I said, no, I'm not. We're gonna have to hire someone. We're gonna have to hire outside. No, I'm not. They were like, yes, you are. I said, well, I'm not giving y'all no discount. And this is my 9-year-old I'm talking to. She said, what? I'm like, you ain't getting no discount. But well, yeah.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming into my live, because you have educated me. Because when I first heard about a doula, I thought a doula was just some white hippie chick that was a bitch that didn't wear deodorant. So
stop. You thought it was like a granola job. No, it's not. So I am not a granola doula. Don't let the locks fool you, man. I'm not granola. I'm here to support women making empowered decisions. That's my philosophy. Women making empowered decisions. And I have been working on my slogan, and it is own your journey. Like, just flat out. You have to own the decisions and the choices you make as a woman, as a mother, as a human. I just feel like it's applicable to life. So
absolutely.
That's my goal.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you so much luck. I will be
Thank you.
this video onto my YouTube, and I will be putting your information there and your website for anybody who wants to get in contact with you. And I hope I can get you on again. And anybody who wants some personal advice or want a consultation, you can reach out to Shanita Joy on her page. I will have that information
Yes.
as well. Thank everybody for watching.
Thank you
Love
guys.
you. I love
Love you.
you.
Thank you for
And I will.
having me.
You're
All
welcome.
right.
Thanks for coming on Eating Our People. All right.
Yes, absolutely.
Have a great night, baby girl. Thank you,
You
viewer.
too.
Come back again. Like I said, next week is a pop-up show. We're gonna have some other viewers on. We're gonna have some other guests on. And then May, I have a full week. I'm still up in the air about next Tuesday, so I'll let you guys know who I'm gonna have on next Tuesday. Thank you guys for viewing. Love you all. If I don't know you, I love you too. Have a great night.